The most popular classes of all are the stock machines like you may drive on the street. That is, if your car can run the quarter mile in 10 seconds at speeds of 130 miles an hour. The quickest are called superstocks because of the rather liberal modifications allowed to their engines and chassis. And the acknowledged king of the superstock drivers is a cigar-puffing traditional from Pennsylvania named Bill Grumpy Jenkins. He calls the cars Grumpy's toys, but at the rate he drives them, they're far from playthings. Jenkins is the defending superstock champion at Indy, and that, plus his brilliance both as a driver and engine tuner, makes him a favorite to repeat.
You have an engineering background, don't you?
Well, I went to Cornell for about 3 years, but I didn't finish and get a degree. But it was in mechanical engineering at that time. Father died, and I was broke, and maybe not the best student there was. Maybe spent too much time fooling around with cars.
Have you always been involved in stock car racing?
No, as far as drag racing is concerned, I've worked on all kinds of drag race equipment, even fuel dragsters back in 1958, 59, and gotten back into the stock car business because it seemed to fit this part of the country a little bit better, and I built a business around working on stock cars, and sort of used the drag racing at that point in the game as a semi-hobby and a little bit of advertising.
Race day. And while others drive, Jenkins pushes his car to the line, cannily saving wear and tear on his engine. He's made the final eliminations by winning a preliminary runoff the day earlier, and now he's ready to defend his title. He has this to say about driving tactics.
The most important skill that you really probably have to put into play is your control over your reactions as far as the starting procedure is concerned, because most of the races between two cars which are equally competitive are won or lost right on the line.
Grumpy Jenkins.
The rest of your action as far as the operation of the car down the track is concerned are pretty much conditioned reflexes. I run every race just the same, just as tight. It's pretty difficult to get your timing straightened out to run just as tight as you can, and if you tried to vary it, I think that you'd be in more trouble. You can maybe have two different approaches to a given situation, one where you know you're going to win, or you know that you're not going to have any trouble, at least predictable trouble, and you may back off completely and wait for the green light, or the other approach is the uptight approach, and you just do that every time just as a matter of staying in practice.
Grumpy sees the green light, pops the clutch, and roars off. But suddenly he loses traction, and chances for the championship disappear beneath his spinning wheels.
I stuck it up on a pretty good number on the tack, on the static RPM, and popped the clutch, and bite was gone for some reason or other. It just sat there, and that was it. You can sit there in the line and say there's no tomorrow, but there's always another one someday, and, whether it's next week or next year. And I've been in it now for long enough that you can take losses with the wins and not get so emotionally upset about it.
Banky barely has time to savor his win over Jenkins before he goes to the line for the championship. While Garlitz is being mobbed by the crowds, Bill Jenkins, as a deposed champion, loads his cars in privacy. Such is the solitude of a loser. But Grumpy is a professional, and he understands defeat as well as victory. He has lost before and will doubtlessly lose again. But as one of the sharpest competitors in the business, the balance of his races will end in victory. And as for the Nationals, well, as every racer knows, there'll always be another Indy.